Hey, welcome to the aftermath of a creative session. I had actually recorded the process and nothing saved, but it's okay, we persevere. The aim and the reason for this session was all about exploring color and just different ways that we can do it. One of the things that I have really been loving doing recently is actually creating abstract pieces to explore color. So this is an example of a piece that I've created. I have this pith sketchbook and I've been making abstract art in it privately, and the reason that I've been doing that is because I love using abstract art as a way to explore color, textures, marks, just all these different things that then later make their way into my final art. And because there's no technical right way to do it for me anyway, it's just a question of like, do I like it or not? It comes with a freedom where I can put colors together and then I can quickly look, for example, at this piece and see that it was inspired by autumn and Psalm 34, and I can see like the colors that work well together that I like. Same with the next one that was also inspired by autumn but like a bit darker, and then even this one inspired by autumn but also just exploring the dark set, the way that the Neocolor 2s work together. All these things and more you can just explore through abstract grids. I've done them in a whole bunch of different ways. There's no technical right way of doing it. So sometimes I do it so they make up the whole page. Sometimes I have like taped it off. When I take off the tape are their own abstract grids. But at the moment I am focusing on color, especially in these bits, and it's just been like a nice relaxing practice that I have been doing for myself. That then led me to this. It's currently autumn, and autumn inspires me massively because of all the colors that are around, and that is why I am sending out watercolor dot cards inspired by autumn as Happy Mail. I have an art membership, and on there you get more of this wonderful community, live videos, Zoom sessions, art challenges, references, just everything that I wish I had when I was painting, everything that I feel I need while I'm painting, art friends, but also a creative menu where you can basically pick all the bits that you need for you and for your creative practice. I'm not the best when it comes to marketing, but my hope is that if you enjoy my videos and you're hearing about this, you will at least consider having a look to see if it's the kind of thing that you would enjoy. As chances are you probably would. If you enjoy my videos, you probably enjoy being part of my membership as well. So I'll leave it linked down below in the description for you. And this video is perhaps a little bit different to my usual because it's a little bit more relaxed, and initially I was and ahhing as to whether I should share it on YouTube or share it just for my members, and it is the kind of video that I would normally share just for my members, but I wanted to see if it resonated with you and if it would be beneficial for you, as again I find it really inspiring, and yeah, I hope that you do too. And so yes, I did do an autumn art haul and bought all these beautiful autumnal colors, but that is because I was creating the dot cards for my Happy Mail tier. And if you'd like to join, spaces are very limited because I make them by hand, as you will have seen from my 7-hour live stream. So for that reason, it does tend to sell out or be fully booked most of the time. And in that case, you can still be part of the membership, but as a studio tier member, and then you get access to all the digital rewards, including painting together via Zoom and workshops and being part of the community that is priceless. I'll also leave that linked down below. Back to autumn. It's almost like every time that I see it, it's as if it's for the first time again. I'm like, oh my gosh, autumn is so awesome. And I saw a few notes that I'd made last year, and again I was like, oh my gosh, autumn is so awesome. But in my head I couldn't remember if I felt like this before, but apparently I have. So what I wanted to do this time was something similar to another studio session that I did, and that is create a big abstract piece, or you can do it smaller as well if you like, but essentially create an abstract piece with colors in mind and using it really as a way to like look at it immediately and see like, are the colors cohesive, do they work? And then I took it a step further for myself and kind of thought about what marks do I like, thin lines, dry brush, dark versus light, glazing, like all these different things can come into it when you're creating these pieces. Now, I've done something similar before in my last studio session, and you'll remember that not only did I do that, I then struggled because I wanted to create a big piece and cut it up. And this is an example of something that I'd done from that session. But then I found that actually I loved the piece as a whole. I found that I love the pieces as a whole. In fact, I even framed them, and so I didn't want to cut them up. And then I created it again with the idea again, I'm going to cut it up. And again, I was like, nope, I like it too much, I can't cut it up. And then I did it again, and I think the same thing happened again where I just didn't want to cut them. So which doesn't usually happen to me, but it did in that instance. So to kind of tackle it in that session, what I did was pre-cut the paper, then I taped it back together and created the painting as a whole, and then took off the tape, so I had my own minis. And the reason that I do that is that I don't want to create like standalone small pieces on their own. I like the idea of it kind of being freer and a piece of a whole. So I wanted to carry forward that idea, but this time, instead of making mini abstracts, I wanted to make a zine. And then I love it because we almost have like the whole artwork as a piece, and then we also have the pages as a piece, and you can look at it as a like this, or maybe like this, like this. You know what I mean? It's like endless inspiration, and a great way to then look back and be like, this is my like autumn zine. What colors was I feeling? What colors worked well together? What glazed, what didn't, so on and so forth. It doesn't even have to be that thought out. And to be honest, when I was creating this, I was just being led by like what I like and going with that. So as I said, I did record this process, but it is gone. Oh no. But it's okay. It was so enjoyable that I am more than happy to do it again, and then we see what results we get the second time round. While I was waiting for that to dry, I then also did this one, which is also not recorded, but actually I don't know, part of me is like, should I leave it? Same, you know, that same thing that I have of like, do I just leave it in my sketchbook or do I take it out? I think I'm actually gonna take it out and create a zine out of it. So what you need to make these zines is essentially a piece of paper and some scissors and whatever art supplies you're going to use to create the artwork. I am using A3 paper, which then means that my final size is A6. If you use A4 paper, which is letter size paper, then your final size will be like this. And I say that because this is also equally valuable and also a lot easier to have at home. Basically, you can use heavy paper, like you can try and use watercolor paper and stuff, but because you'll be folding it, it then kind of gets a bit tricky. So for me, this paper is like cartridge drawing paper, and it worked quite well in that it can take some washes, but it's also thin enough that I can bend it quite easily. The thicker the paper, the harder it is for the zine to bend and stay in shape. To create this piece, actually, I used the Distress crayons. I wanted to see how they worked. Do they reactivate with water or not? And they kind of reactivate, but as you can see, the line persists. So this is what we are left with. It's pretty cool. I feel like it's more chaotic than the other one, but I still kind of really like it. So in order to make the zine, what we do first is we fold it in half this way. And I've kind of gone down a little bit of a zine rabbit hole, because there's a number of different ways to make them. And sometimes if you want to know exactly what you're going to put on each page, then you can fold it beforehand, even number it so that you know what's the front page, what's the back page, so on. But because I knew that I wanted to be free across the whole thing and then have the surprise of seeing what the zine looks like at the end, I didn't pre-fold it beforehand for either. So we folded it in half this way, then we open it back up and we fold one edge and bring it to the middle, and then do the same with the other side and bring it to the middle. So it's kind of in quarters. Then open it back up again and fold it this way, then open it back up and you fold it in half again. And what we're going to do now, I'm just reinforcing some of the bends, but you don't have to do this. What we're going to do now is we have the like free edge and we have the bent edge. Can you see? So what we're going to do is cut this bit here to the middle in order to get our zine. So it's just a slit like that. And then you can open it back up, fold it like this, in half again, and then you push these bits out. And like that, to almost make it like a cross, so you're just pushing it in like that. Et voila! You have your little zine. And then the beauty of it is that now let's look and see like the original pieces that come as a result. I really like this one. I think because it's leaning more like orange, as in like nickel as a yellow. It's pretty cool. I quite like this one as well. Like if we open it up, I think one of the things that I really enjoy is like when there's dry brush marks. And then the beauty of it being abstract is if you want, you turn it upside down and then you have a look at it again and you see actually which way do you prefer. It's so funny because every time I've done this, it's been like I love 3 out of 4. So it's not bad success rate, is it? And then what I like to do is, so I'm looking, I like these 3. This one I think is okay, but I think is maybe a bit too dark for me. So this one is the one that I'm going to make the cover. And I know it's kind of paradoxical because the one that you'll see most, but I like this. The back it's okay, not so much, but I like this. And then it means that the rest I will see as like their full artwork. Do you see what I mean? And then I have the back there. So this will be like a nice and easy color story. And then we have this one as well, which is slightly bigger, and you can see that they are similar, same kind of color inspiration, even though they are different materials. And these are autumn. I'm going to try and do autumn again. I'm going to try and use slightly different colors. Funny, to me these, especially when you look at them opened up, do look completely different. Like this has a lot more line, whereas this one was more flowy, more splatters. I'm going to be using the big paper again, but you can use any paper that you have. So in terms of supplies, I have paper, then scissors, they're the main things, and then any supplies that you have that you know you'll want to use. In terms of the supplies that I have to hand, because I'm focused on colour, I have all the supplies. I have all the supplies. So I have some acrylic inks, I have Neocolor 2, sorry, I have some watercolor, I also have some gouache, I have some markers, some pencils. I have everything to hand. And I do think one of the things that might also be helpful is you pick one or the other. So if I knew I was only going to pick watercolor, then perhaps I would pick whatever colors I want. And if given that I have so many different supplies, I'm going to be focusing on similar colors, like having a cohesive color palette. So it's not just every color on there. But again, it's your abstract zine. You can make it however you like. You can add whatever colors you want and you like and you enjoy. So I'm going to try and use some slightly different colors to the ones that I used last time, but still have them be autumnal and kind of like autumn inspired. This is Daniel Smith's Quin Sienna, and from the previous ones that I did, I kind of realized a couple of things. One is I do like line. The other is that I also really like white space. Now we'll see if I manage to keep some of that white space, but I feel like the pages that I like most had that kind of balance where they weren't too heavy or too dark. This isn't watercolor paper. It just about handles watercolor, so I want to put some, but not like a massive amount. In honesty, the way that I approach it is just whatever I feel like. So it's not like a proper structured way of approaching it. So this, for example, is a Gallows Nocturno, and I just wanted to have a bit of that purple. That being said, in the back of my mind, I'm also like, it's not cheap, so I didn't go wild with the amount that I put on. Not that any of these were cheap, actually. I have a very limited amount of that and I was weary. Then this is Quin Sienna, which is like the orangey color, and I like having like where there's a bit that's reactivated and some that is not. So a bit that's like just a thick line and a bit that's actually like the wash. And then the other thing that I really enjoy is dry brush. Now the key thing with this is that I can't recreate them, you can't recreate them. It's just more so about enjoying the process and also thinking about the kind of things that you like. And if there's something that you don't like, then that's fine. That's helpful to know that and to learn that through this exercise, so nothing is wasted. And the beauty of it is also, like, say for example you're using this affordable paper, you can really go wild with the experimentation. So I added some nickel azo yellow, and then that was a little bit of November 2024, but I'm thinking actually I used that before and I don't want to fall into the exact same colours as before. So I'm looking at some of the colours that I sent out in a Happy Mail and adding bits of that instead. Leave some white space, you know? Yes, play with line, but leave some white space. And we'll see where that goes. So I just want to reactivate some of this. Like, I want some line, but not loads and loads. That was Queen Violet that I just added in place of the November 2024. Just having some washes and balancing washes with line. Can also do some, like, you know, fun things that you wouldn't necessarily try in finished work, but why not here? No one knows they're out of place. Only you can say if it's right or wrong. And then if it's wrong, you just change it. The other thing is that I'm looking at this as a whole piece. So I want it to be somewhat balanced. And I think perhaps that's the other thing, because I'm looking at it as a whole piece. Sometimes it looks balanced as a whole, but then when I fold it, it's not quite as balanced as it once was. Like some areas, like say for example, this page here might end up being quite dark and whatnot. But I'm trying to not think of it like that. I'm trying to still think of it as like a big piece, as opposed to thinking about it as like, oh, this is this page, this is that page. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but if you want to do that, then I would recommend that you actually fold it beforehand so that you know the rough demarcations, and then it will be easier. This is indigo. It's funny because I said I wanted to be light, but I am putting darker colours. And that's because a lot of the colours that I sent were on the darker side. Because I didn't just want to send the same colours that I normally like. I wanted us to play around a little bit. Then as I'm doing that, I'm wondering like, oh, what does indigo with nickel as a yellow look like? And so I added a little bit of that so that I can see it. So if I'm curious about anything, I can figure it out on this page. And I also have, this is like cadmium orange, which is quite an opaque colour. There's quite a lot of orange everywhere, to be honest, which is quite different for me. But I did say I didn't want to just, kind of like that mark, didn't want to just recreate the same colours palette that I had. I wanted a different autumn, and that is what we're going to get. Really like that. One of the things, it's so funny, but sometimes when I like something in a painting, it's like all of a sudden it takes all my focus and I have to then force myself not to paint over it, which sounds counterintuitive, right? Like surely if you like something, you naturally won't paint over it, but it's like it has my focus. And so if I'm not careful and I don't think about it, all of a sudden I'll end up covering that part that I love. So I'm not going to cover that. I hope. I also like, as I'm doing this, that it's almost like lifting because it's dark and there's a lighter layer underneath. I like that I can kind of see some of that. Now obviously I can't take it too far because this isn't like watercolor paper. It will peel or tear or whatnot, but I'm just kind of leaving some space there, like lifting up some of that paint so it doesn't just all sink into that area and obliterate that effect that I like. And then I'm also lifting here because I like that. And that's what I mean by like this can be a good way to figure out things that you like, and then when you look back on it, you may be surprised what you discover. So quite like a little bit of purple because I've just reactivated that. And then sometimes I'll take it from here and maybe there's quite a bit of purple there, put a little bit here. The cad orange that we took, quite a dominant colour, and put some here as well. Then here I'm like, oh, I like the light, so I don't want to like completely get rid of it. Equally, I don't want it to just be white. So I'm taking some nickel as a yellow. Was it? Maybe it's Queen Gold. no, it's Queen Gold actually, and putting some dots, some details, things that I know that I will like. And then I'm kind of wondering here, what can I add here? Kind of want to see, I like this, and I think that was indigo, which is here, with a little bit of that Queen Gold. So I just want to make a little bit more of that. I just think it's a nice green. Now I know, oh, I can make that really nice green with our palette. It's quite an interesting thing doing this, but it's nice because it can be quite relaxing, especially if you approach it with the mindset of, I'm just trying to figure out what brush strokes I like, what line work I like, what colors I like, or even looser, just like, I just want to know what colors work together, just picking 3 colors and seeing what mixes they make. And then you fold it in a zine, and all of a sudden you've got this really cool piece of artwork that you can refer back to and just see all the different mixes that they make. So for this, although I said, oh, I have all these kind of colors and supplies that I can use, I did primarily just use, so far I've only used watercolor. I do want to add some gold because I have enjoyed adding that, and I like the kind of like contrast that you get when you add it to dark areas. It's also cool that it's moving. I'm kind of curious to see what this one will look like. It's cool actually because it's all the colors that I've sent you, apart from the gold of course. And then I'm kind of wondering, like, I also like this kind of blue, which was, I'm guessing it was just indigo watered down. So I have, this is the Distress crayon, what color? Ice Spruce. Just reactivate that a little bit. It doesn't fully reactivate is the only thing, but take that to off the page. Do you see what I mean? Just a little bit. But yeah, I feel like this is really cool. A cool way to do swatches, a cool way to explore color. And then sometimes I will like tap it to have some drips. In the past I've tried like folding it in half and realized that I don't like that. Sometimes I will lift, like, you know, dab with a paper towel, and I realized that, okay, if I do it with a paper towel I like it, but if I do it with paper I don't like it. And then the paint that I have, I can move from one place to another. But all these things you just learn by doing, because what I will love may not be what you love, and vice versa. So you may look at this and be like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, but that being said, when I look at it, I like it. And I'm like, oh, autumn. Even if no one else sees it. Just picked up some of that gold that's on there because it takes a while to dry, and like flick it and then play with drips again. And then when it's at a point where I'm actually like, oh, I like it, if I want, I can leave it to dry on its own and then come back and work on it. Or what I'm going to do now is actually dry it and then fold it, and then we'll see if, you know, there's anything that I want to add. So say for example with this one, I quite like it the way it is. I don't really feel like I need to add anything else, but maybe you would want to add quotes or words or notes on the colors that you used, or, you know, a painting on top. The options are really quite endless. Same with this one. With this one, when I did it, I loved the way like these ones were, but this one I didn't quite like it, and so I added more, like I worked more on it, and now I like it. So I'm really curious to see what this is going to look like folded up. So I'm going to quickly dry. And the only other thing that I would say is that as I'm drying, I'm also making observations on how things work, especially if you normally dry, because drying almost like fixes your watercolor. So it will reduce the granulation. If you're, you know, a granulating color will granulate more if you let it just dry on its own. So I'm observing that. I'm also like pushing the colors around. I'm seeing how acrylic reacts to being dried, like all these things. And then if, for example, here a drip is going, I can let it continue and use the heat gun to encourage it, or I can kind of vary the angle and then keep it in place and dry it. There we go. So now it's nice and dry. What I was just doing there, actually, it's not dry, is just using this to move the paint around. I'm just being impatient. But also earlier on the other ones, I was using this to make marks. I was also using this to make marks, anything and everything that I kind of felt like. So it's time to make the zine. I'm gonna cut this bit off. This bit's still wet. Perfect. Now, same thing as before. So we fold this in half, which is why I wanted to check everything is dry. Folding it in half, then bring this to the middle, bring this to the middle again, open it up and fold it in half like a hot dog, reinforcing some of the folds. You can use something, a bone folder, back of scissors, opening it up again, folding it in half like a book, and then this is the free edge, this is the bent edge, and we're going to cut the bent edge. Then we open it up, fold it like a hot dog again, and squeeze here and bring these two together. And then we have our zine, our abstract zine. So let's see what we have. It's a lot darker and moodier. I love this one. Oh, this is the bit that I loved earlier. So staying consistent. And I really love this. I think the dry brush and the line, and I also like the color. And then this, let's see this as a whole. And then with the abstract ones, what I like to do is turn it upside down as well and see if I like one way over the other. I think I like this way. And then I just have to pick a front cover. So the front cover is never my favorite because I want my favorite to be seen as a whole as opposed to just like half. So this isn't the front cover, this isn't the front cover. It's either this one or this one. Maybe this one, but I like this one like this. Okay, and then this is our little zine. Let me show it to you up close. So again, it represents autumn, but moody autumn. This is the back. So this is the cover. Maybe I'll write autumn on this. You see, isn't that cute? Autumn colors. And it's made up of all the colors, well, the majority of the colors that I'm sending out in the Happy Mail. And this is the Happy Mail that I'm sending out. I think it's so cute. This is the letter, by the way. Don't throw this away thinking it's just cardboard. And then I've also included a little sticker and a Rimishmore sticker there as well. So I stopped here, but there's so many things that you can do. You can go back and you can add more details to say complete it if you feel like it's incomplete. You can add like journaling prompts, you can add words, you can add more artwork, you can paint over it. You can even like make a little key or notes of the things that you like. And if you want to have it within the artwork itself, you can do that. But if you don't want to, one of the cool things is that you can just open it up, maybe have a look at the back, and then like make a note of the colors that you used, the suppliers that you enjoyed, the marks that you like, and maybe even date it and see, you know, if you look back on it, if something else speaks out to you, and then you can add it to like your little note and you can see how things are changing as time goes on. I really like it. I think it's really cool. Just a lovely way to unwind, I find. I'm muted? No, okay. And the beauty of it is that even if you don't like it as a whole, more times than not, you then get a wonderful resource to look back on. And the beauty of zines is that it doesn't stop here. And the beauty of abstract art is that it doesn't stop here. So the options and the possibilities are truly endless. Thank you so much for being an MVP. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and got something out of it. If you're still watching, let me know by telling me your favorite autumn color. Then I will know that you're an MVP and I'm not just talking to myself. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful creative time. Bye. God bless. I know July is gone. You make me feel at home in the neon glow as the leaves change color. I dive into you when summer's fading. There's nothing to do but bask in the glory of the winter sun. Maybe this is the season of love.